I am so excited. The lovely Sarah Pauhl. Welcome to A Day in the Life of Being an OBM. I am really, really pleased to have you on here. Sarah and I have known each other for many, many years. We started coaching back in 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
So you came to me and you were like, I am ready to level up, really go all into the OBM thing. And I was like, all for that. And then you went on to be a part of our accreditation, successfully became an accredited OBM. What is a day in the life like for you? I mean, what does a typical day look like for you?
I'll tell you today. It's top of mind. Here's today. Here's exactly what I'm doing today. So up at 5:30, get out of the office.
5:30 in the morning?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because I like to have an hour to myself to like get ready and also watch
I hear
the news.
that. I hear that.
Get Addie breakfast, off to school, and then I'm back here about 8:45. I made dinner this morning. It's in the crock pot now. And I strolled down to my office around 9:15. Try to do all my client meetings on Mondays, but I have 2 client meetings, a meeting with my team. And at about 2:45, I'm going to be done for the day. And tomorrow we just launched with a new client. So yeah, weekly meetings with them. And then basically I just project manage and critique opt-in videos, etc. Make sure the strategy is running the way it's supposed to.
I love it.
Like, I think the point is that, again, like I have some stuff due on Friday. I'll probably be done Thursday because I just, you pad your stuff. And most of the time I do not work on Friday afternoons too bad. So just saying, it
makes
can
me
happen.
really happy. Yeah. So you've got a really great work-life balance, and that's wonderful. I'm really glad.
Yeah, thank you. It makes me happy to come to work now, and I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't take the leap.
And make the transition from VA or from OBM in disguise to like really owning the OBM role, picking the right clients, learning a lot of the techniques that we teach inside of accreditation around dating projects and owning it and all that good stuff. And then you niched in the most beautiful way. Like, I think you're such a great testament to finding what you like and what you're good at and sticking to it and building a team and then really developing the confidence of like, you know what, I got this. It's so great because I also started to feel like 3 or 4 years into my OBM career, I got this. No one's taking it away from me. No one's gonna like pull the carpet out from underneath you. And also my friends were like, oh wow, you're really still just doing this and it's working for you. And I'm like, yeah, like I told you it would.
I know, but some people don't know, but if they would just, again, like some people want to be in an office and all that, but I think a lot of mamas.
Yes,
I do not.
I do. I like doing interviews with like business on top, party down below, because I'm like got my pajama pants on still. I got my
I kind of have that going on too.
Pants on under here.
Because you can, Sarah. Because you can. I love that.
So Sarah, why don't you share a little bit about how you came into the online space and what that looked like for you?
I had a baby, I always like to say, a little later in life. I come from 20 plus years running an advertising and marketing firm in Burlington, Ontario. So I was fully corporate. When I had my baby and I'm at home on mat leave, I'm like, oh no, I can't leave her. Like I can't go back into a 9 to 5 and 2-hour drives home. So I started to research what a VA was. I had never even heard of what a VA was. And while I was on maternity leave, I took a course and I started getting clients right away. And I went through that journey for a little bit and then realized, oh, I'm not actually a VA. There's got to be something more. So then I found out what an OBM was. One of the girls I went through the VA training with, she actually got accredited from you the term before, well, probably 2 terms before, but I met you. I drilled her like, is that Sarah No Kids? I've been looking at Sarah No Kid, that kind of idea. So I talked with her and then I contacted you and now I'm an accredited OBM. So yes.
I love that. I think you are such a perfect example of the type of woman that comes with like a boatload of incredibly valuable transferable skills like marketing and advertising. Like I feel like that's an OBM client's wet dream. Can I say that? Oh, I can.
Yes, you can say that. Yes. That's exactly right though. That's it. When I'm a VA and I feel that there's some amazing VAs out there, but a lot of them are task driven. Tell me what to do, I'll do it. Well, what was happening was my client was telling me what to do and not in a bad way, but I was kind of like questioning, oh, can we start with the end in mind? And actually my old boss used to say that, like, let's start with the end in mind. What are we trying to accomplish by this task? And so I started to sort of like project manage and da-da-da-da. So I'm like, this is not a role for a virtual assistant. To me, my role would be more of an OBM, launch specialist, whatever.
So at the beginning, when you were introducing yourself, we kind of chuckled at this notion of like, well, you quickly realized that you weren't a VA. Ha ha ha. But can we dig into that a little bit? Because you and I both come from that similar background. You know, we had the corporate experience, we moved into being a VA, but realistically, and if we were being honest with ourselves, we were really doing more managerial, project management, needing to know the big picture, doing that whole reverse engineering thing that you were talking about. What were some of the reasons that you knew that you were not a VA?
Several reasons. One was I was giving more than I was able to charge for, because I couldn't put on the hat of, remember, you're just delivering tasks to this person. I couldn't put that hat on because I am who I am. I come from the background I come in. So the value I was giving was not equaling the paycheck that I was getting. In general, it was more like just getting Voxered at 7 p.m. at night because something went awry and there's no other sort of like person in their business. Like if there was a manager in their business, probably this would have been taken care of during the day and nobody's bugging me. And
we would have been proactive about it to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, let's be proactive about this. So again, in coaching with you, I was able to transition. I had one client that I kind of did everything for, and I transitioned her, like I moved my paycheck up a little bit with her, and I was able to sort of like work with her and get the lay of the land. And
the transition. Yeah.
Oh, the transition. Right.
Yeah, so remember, we worked hard through that because it is a unique thing for everybody, and transitioning, like I often will chuckle, but I'm fully serious that it's easier to get rid of all of your clients and start fresh. But I think as entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs, we have a feeling of scarcity around clients.
Yep.
And that often comes about in a way of like, oh, I don't want to let go. Even though this client, defined respect, maybe has a lack of respect, or I know that this client isn't the greatest fit for me. And yet still, I feel like I need to hold on. And I'm like, but why? When I made the transition, I took one client with me and then, said enough to the rest. There was 8 of us.
Exactly. So for me at the time, I had a lot of clients. I had 8 clients, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's like 8 brains to keep track of, 8 different focuses to keep
pictures, track of. And plus your business.
Yeah. Plus, well, that was that always took a back burner. So it was a tough go, but then things just worked out and I got to the 3, we call them the big 3. And that's where the service is, okay, me and my team can handle these 3 big clients. We're directing them. I used your breakthrough strategy session to do a 90-day action plan. So I stuck with the one OBM client. We went ahead and we started like, hey, we do these things. We do this thing called
it's so good. You're going to love it.
You'll love it. I loved just even that little process, because in doing the 90-day action plan, they're like, I love it. Let's do it. Okay. Then we were able to get those dating projects, as you call it. And then those 2 other ones turned into full-time clients. So we stopped looking. We had our 3 within the last quarter of 2021.
Your revenue significantly changed when we worked together and you made the quote unquote transition and really kind of put your stake in the ground and was like, I am an OBM offering these services. And you had that little angle, or not that little angle, that big angle of summits. That was your shtick you were launching. Yep. Tell me more about what that felt like and what it looked like for our listeners here and people who are watching us on YouTube. Like, we want to know, how did you make the leap in revenue?
Oh my goodness. So I had this thing in my head, right? So when I left my job, I said to my husband, as long as I make what I made at the agency or close to it, because you don't need the car as much, you don't, that kind of idea. As long as I made my certain budget, that would be fine. And I just felt like this. Yeah, that's fine. So I did that as a VA, but it was busy and I was working way more.
Right. And it was easy to find clients, right? Because that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, VA clients are a dime a dozen. Everybody needs a VA, but OBM clients are very,
Yeah. So how did that feel? We had the one going, and then we did the breakthrough strategy sessions. We got the other 2. So our income significantly went up. And so things were just easier. Now I'm still working a lot, but once you kind of got into the flow, then my business, oh my gosh, what did it do? It tripled in revenue in 1 year.
So what does that look like financially, if you don't mind?
Well, what that looks like is I'm paying for vacations in this household.
Right.
My daughter gets a little bit more time with me.
Nice.
If anybody knows me, and I'll say that the whole reason I even switched online was because I wanted to be more available to my child, right?
Yes, that big why. We have a very similar why.
The why is just...
We want to give our kiddies that stay-at-home mommy experience, but in realistic, and also having our own drive and goals. Yeah, I really do love working.
I love working. And so like getting accredited is the best way that I could provide an income to my family and work, but then I could just cut it off at the time when she's home from school. And okay, now I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like,
yeah, exactly. I've got mom hat on.
I've got the mom hat on. Like, you know, us women, we usually have about 4 or 5 jobs anyway.
Right.
So.
Exactly. Ain't that the truth?
But yeah, the financial shift, I'm able to pay my team. I have now, at the time, we had another OBM on staff, as well as a tech VA and an admin VA. It was awesome.
Oh, you've always been a wizard with team. Like even when we were coaching together before you became accredited and when you were making the transition, like you always were very team oriented and knew the value of team, likely because of what you were taking with you from corporate. What did it look like for you to grow your team? Because you've got a big team now, right?
We just reduced by 1, but yeah, we have 3 still. Yeah,
which is big.
Which is awesome. And you know, Mandy's been with me since the get-go. Mandy and I went through like VA training together. Yes. And then we realized that because the trainer that did train us, like she was probably the best VA I've ever come across. She's great. So she taught us all those little tips and tricks to be great VAs. So a lot of the great VAs turned into OBMs. I think about 5 of them took your course. So it was like they just wanted to level up. But if they do need VAs on their team, they know who to reach out to, right? We have this collective of like 7 women that kind of went through that course together that we lean on each other. So I do have 2 other subcontractors that come in depending on what is going on. If we got hired to do just all automations, and I was like, I can lead flow this, but I don't want to do it. But you know, one of the ladies that we contract out with loves automation. She sleeps and dreams in automation.
You know that I dream in automations? Well, once I had a whole lucid dream with, you know, my children, and they were like inside of Entreport, and I was like, oh my God, Sarah, like what is going on? Like it was like a complete anxiety-ridden dream. I was like, I don't know, this is not
last week
healthy. Dreaming in automations is chuckle unhealthy.
It's very unhealthy. I actually did myself have a lucid dream last week. I did, because I had to teach our summit strategy to web designers that didn't know. And I'm like, how do I take it out of my head? And so I went to lucid because hello.
Yeah, why not? Because that's a great default. Why not? Yeah.
Why not? Right. So I just, you know, and anyway, I'm still working on that. But yeah, I have dreamed in it, but Marcy is like automation queen. So
yeah, I love that. Tell me a little bit about summits, because I know that summits is your jam, your bread and butter. For those people who are watching, listening, because a lot of people who are interested in becoming an OBM will watch the day in the life, but also clients who are interested in running summits. Is a summit a launch? What's different?
Okay, a summit. So specifically, I think everybody's heard of an online summit where, you know, it's a collaborative marketing event that, you know, we go out and we ask different speakers to come on depending on the subject matter. And it's like a free to attend list building. So the purpose for the client to do it is a list building collaborative, like let's share stuff. But what we do is actually called the summit stack. So I explain it like this. It's like the upside down triangle. So it's all collaborative, but it's a 3-step series to launch a course, to like the end game is your new audience, new podcast. So you start with the end in mind, like, okay, I'm launching a new podcast or I have a new course coming out in July. Okay, great. So we start back in March, we're going to start collecting, okay, what's the summit going to be on? All of the guests happily invite their audiences and they come in and they have this free event. And then the follow-up to the summit would be 2 additional events. So like a free challenge or a free, you know.
So it's the summit and then the 2 different events afterwards. Yeah. So if I understand you correctly, you're having a big raw summit. Everybody brings their communities together. And like if I'm hosting the summit, I have different speakers. And then from there, I funnel those people into that triangle, which is my other 2 events. And then ultimately, whatever paid offer I have.
Yeah, goes to them. So again, it's just building trust over a short period of time. And then we're funneling only these new people, because you might have a list already. We're going to invite, like they can come, but we're very specifically funneling the new list build into the trust and into either an open close cart, a podcast launch, whatever it is, it's a paid experience at the end. So give, ask. And so that's what we modeled it on.
And that is mainly what you're doing as an OBM. You are just doing the summit stacks.
Yes, we were a full service OBM agency, but we decided to, and here's why. There's a really good reason for me. We've all heard of scope creep, right? We know what scope creep is.
So we do.
When you do a fabulous job for a client, that's a wonderful thing. but they become reliant on you and they want more from you, but sometimes they're not like willing to pay more per month. What we did was we kind of dismantled these clients that were scope creeping us to death. And we now work in the model of summit launch strategy and onboarding. So we have an onboarding add-on, like, okay, their new course launches 4 months from now. What can we do? We set up a model of the summit stack, very specifically curated to them. Like whatever we come up with the strategy, we come with everything for that person. And so we'll get into like a 3.5, 4 month contract with them, run through. And depending on the outcome or the next steps, about a month or two before that contract ends, we're talking about further project work. Why project work for us? Because I've done both. I've done project task or I've done just day-to-day client work.
Right. Like retainer versus project. We talk a lot about like there's like retainers and then you can have like a project. Exactly. Start and end, very specific.
Here's how I always explain it. With retainer clients, you have deadlines and times throughout the day. This is due at noon or this might have to be due at 3. With projects, it's just due one a day. So why that works for me, it's just due one a day. And why that works for me is because I walk my daughter to and from school. I work 9 till 3 p.m. Eastern, hard stop at 3. So I get to be a mom. So I can be with my clients and really concentrate on the projects during that time and then become a mom.
Then take care of your mom, like how we take
exactly.
Because again, we're two Sarahs with kind of the same bag. We take care of our parents. We take care of our children. We take care of our husbands and our dogs. We had puppies at the same time. Kelly's locked out because he licks himself. And I'm like, I can't pick that up on the audio. It's awful.
No. But that's it. If you want to, I think a lot of moms are like, I watch them now because I walk with like the stay-at-home moms to school. And I'm like,
are there a lot of you guys?
There is.
But you're the only one who works.
I'm the only one that works.
That's crazy. So that's crazy to me. I was like, guys, but what about another vacation a family vacation? Like you work a little bit, make some money on the side. Vacation.
Yeah. I think a lot of moms that are like, you're like rushing out the door and you're driving to work and there's so many talents in your head, but you just don't know what it is that could make you at home. Like literally, I am in my knitting studio. I also teach knitting.
I love knitting
for this. But my desk, I have this cute little office area built up and I just come down here every day. And when work's done at the end of the day, which this took me 3 years to learn because we've been in business now for 4. This took me 3 years to learn. Cut it off and shut the door and don't come back down here. But you can. It is totally doable. You just need
discipline.
Discipline. So meeting Sarah changed my life. And taking the program, going through the real lessons, like the real things that you would actually do for a client. If you were brand new and you were going through a project management part of the training, like you get it. You're like, okay. And then you have the confidence.
Yeah, well, that's why my confidence comes through doing. And that is why inside Accreditation, we want to give everybody an opportunity to get experience doing the real thing so that you can go out there and confidently do it for clients. So I love that. I love that you had that experience. And I love that you have been able to blossom as Summit launch stack human being, but also spend more time with because when we were coaching together, a lot of what we used to talk about was our babies, having time for them and building our businesses in a sustainable way so that we have team. Like I'm always big on team. I've always encouraged everyone I work with to really emphasize team. And I think you have so beautifully built that up in your own business. And also I want to be really transparent here. I will say to whoever's listening that, being an OBM really changed my life, but it continues to evolve and change because I would have never imagined myself to be an OBM trainer, to create programs and to continue on. And I love that you have not only completely in the last 4 years built up a really solid business for yourself, but you're moving into course creation now, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I never in a million years thought I would even go there. You're right, because you never saw yourself training people.
Never. I just want to go on vacation. I just don't want to go to a 9 to 5. And I certainly don't want to be late to pick up my kids every day,
Exactly. And that was me too. I just wanted to be able to contribute to the household in the same way I did before, but stay home and also balance.
It's so funny because my husband said to me also, he's like, you just need to make a little bit less than you're making in corporate. We're going to be fine. But instead of being like, yeah, okay. I was like, now that you said that, now I'm going to make 3 times what I make in corporate. I ended up making, 3 times what I make in corporate. It's sometimes in a month now, but obviously I have expenses of team and life and, it's not.
And all of that.
Not like that.
But that's exactly that's how we felt in 2021 when we were like, what is happening? We're growing and it's freaking fast.
Yes.
But again, like you said, lessons learned. We did the retainer client thing. And one client of that was just the most loveliest human being in the world. We keep her along, she's here. But when you're able to, you talked about that at the very beginning, sometimes we have this scarcity of clients, but when you rid yourself of what doesn't work, and then you give, we've just come off the last 3 months of giving our business a lot of time.
Really? I love that.
Heart-centered people, when you get rid of it and you give yourself the space to start to grow, you still, like, if we wanted to change it and go get a retainer client tomorrow, we could go do that.
Yeah, you could. I know. That's what I always tell people. Like, you can always, before we hopped on, we were talking about, agency and my own agency. And I have a few clients on my roster, but they're like passion clients. It's like my yoga teacher and a yoga studio and, people that I feel like I really genuinely want to help. And I feel very privileged coming from that place to be able to choose my clients and not feel like, oh, I got to take this work because I got to pay the bills and I got to make money. And I know it's not like that for everybody, but
I will never feel like that again, because when I'm able to
you can shake it when you need to, and you also know what you're looking for. And it's so funny because you're the perfect example of someone who has successfully niched in a particular market. And I always laugh, and I'm fully serious when I say this, like I niche on personality. I have never wanted to kind of quote unquote pigeonhole myself into anything because I feel like that stifles my creativity. But you've so wonderfully niched yourself into clients who need summits. So you know who you're talking to, you know who you're looking for. There's like a lot of power in that.
It's wonderful because we do, and what's great is an example of even how I would get referred is some people say, like, I don't know. I have one passion client because she's pivoted her business a few times. She's been with me since day one. And I literally just charge her like the smallest amount of money to continue on working with us. But it's because I adore her. I adore her. For an example, she'll just be like, oh, this person's looking for a VA. Well, you talk to her. I'm like, of course I'll talk to her, because once they meet me and they find out what we're doing, and I can kind of I give a lot in my discovery calls, which I know sometimes people say don't, but here's why it works for me. I give a lot for free because I really do care. This is the reason we're even building up the course, because I can't work with everybody. But if you give them like that advice, and that I turned what was supposed to be like a $500 VA client, which I also have VAs I can refer out to. But we took her in and we just turned it into an $11,000 summit stack.
Wow.
So if somebody needs something like
$11,000 project, guys.
Project. So that's over 3.5 months. Yeah. But here's the beauty of it. We also saw other needs in her business. We kind of give her like, yes, we can do this, but hey, also there's a few missing pieces here when we did her systems audit. And so there's a little bit of an extra fee for that too. So this is the thing, you don't have to stick like, yes, I'm sitting in the summit launch project area because it works for me, but we also have all these other things. So it's really curated to every client, I think. I think that if you can have that ability, then more people will want to work with you, and then you will have more choices. You don't have to take that bad client, because taking a bad client, from experience, is not good for you inside.
No,
it's not good.
And we all know that entrepreneurship is this personal growth journey, and you might learn a lot from that personal growth, but I don't necessarily want to set myself up for that, wonderful experience of having a client who, has loose boundaries. Because I think a lot of us OBMs are people pleasers. I know I'm a recovering one, and I have to really be like how you were saying, like at the end of my day, I close my office door, I walk away. It's the same thing. It's like, I'm people pleasing, but I'm pleasing nobody. It's certainly not myself, So I totally, that really resonates with me. And I'm always looking for the balance in my life. And I'm a night owl. I can work until 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe not 3 o'clock anymore. I used to be able to go all night long, but now getting a little bit older, I'm like at 10:30, I'm like,
yeah, me too.
Like the 3 a.m. that used to happen for me. But I can go late into the night, drives my husband insane. He's like, honey, are you coming down to bed? I'm like, no, because I'm off on a tangent. I'm so far gone. I'm not coming back to earth today.
Well, that's the whole thing. What was happening was I was only taking this break from like 4:30 till Addie went to sleep. And then I'm back on Voxer, back on WhatsApp, blah, blah, blah. My husband said to me one day, like, just because you're not down there doesn't mean you're not crossing your boundaries. So funny. Like, you're on the couch. Just because you're on the couch.
I love you, and
so I've only been good at this whole shutting it off since January. But I'm telling you, I've done it, and I'm like,
well, I think it really comes from the clarity, like I think when we worked together, it was really about, the whole thing about the dating project, and really kind of like, what is your offer? What can you lead with? And that is a big part of, our accreditation, but also our accelerator, OBM school. Like that's kind of the philosophy, but you have a really solid team, which I'm really happy to hear, because I know that there were some trials and tribulations.
Oh, yes.
And all the things when we were coaching together. So I'm really, it's been a while. I think it's been about a year even. I know it's been since the summertime, because it's now March, and last summer we were supposed to get together in Toronto. You were supposed to
I
come to
know.
our live event, but you couldn't make it, which was fine.
Yes.
But I even know then, you were still sort of like hammering out.
Well, I was still in the struggle mode because, okay, so again, I called it happy money to you earlier.
Yes.
I was making good money, but it wasn't happy money.
I know, yeah.
It wasn't happy money.
And so let's talk about this, because you are a great example of a very successful OBM who has been, cleared the 10K mark.
Oh my gosh,
no problem. It is, guys, it's feasible, it's tangible, but then we have this notion of happy money. So let's talk about that.
Right. Okay. So same. First of all, when we hit our first 10K month, we were like, holy cow, we celebrated that, right? Because for some reason, it's like the six-figure, I'm now a six-figure OBM. Okay. Open and honest. We did $240,000 last year in 2022. And we were killing it. My team was getting money. I'm making some good money. Having said that, in about September, October, it started to become like, all I'm doing is working. That's all I'm doing. So yes, I can make money, but it's not happy money. Happy money is when
when Sarah has work-life balance.
Work-life balance. That's happy money. So yeah, we made some decisions on some pivots and 30 days notice and termination to a few. Yes. And then guess what happened?
You doubled down. You doubled down on what was working and what you loved and what fed your soul.
Exactly. We went to a Summit Stack project-based model. We'll do all the VIP days and all the strategy sessions you want, because again, we can still give to clients, feel happy about the information we're providing them, the deliverables that we're giving them. But I also have no guilt, because I'm a people pleaser too. But if I have a retainer client talks to me every day, I am accountable to her. I will not go to bed till I stop being accountable to her. But now with my beautiful heart-centered project clients that I have, they know that I'm done at 3. It's very clearly marked in my and if they need me, they can leave me a message, but they will expect me to listen to it around 8 a.m. Huge difference, because they feel service still, but I feel happy in my business.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes me happy to, walk down the street, even in our crazy, I think we got 30 centimeters of snow about 2 weeks ago, or 20 centimeters.
Come out and visit me here. I know.
I would love to come and visit you there. And now we're traveling again. Like we actually are going to travel. I'm going to Austin to a retreat in 2 weeks.
That's amazing. Like, is it a client retreat?
No,
it's just for you.
But I'm like, I'm flying again.
Be still my heart. Well, I mean, guys, like, it's not like I just interview successful OBMs. A lot of the OBMs that come out of our accreditation end up like Sarah, making the money that you want, having the team that you want, and continuing on your journey of self-development, improvement, but above and beyond that, being a really, really great mama and having that, the opportunity to give her the things that she needs in life. And I think that's such an important why here. And we just wrapped up OBM week, and I'm still very much hell-bent on telling anyone who's willing to listen to me that, like, unless your why is strong as AF, you are going to falter. You're not going to be on track. You have to have a very, very strong reason to make it work. I know for you and I, it was the same. I was like, I must be home for my kids. I didn't put them in daycare as early as I could have. I wanted to be with them, but I also wanted a career. So
yeah, and that's if you don't have some creative thoughts or meet people like you and I, that's some people like stress about that, but there's no reason to. Just get this program. Honestly, it changes your life. It's also the other people within the program that you meet, that you can work with and meet and help each other along that journey too. I think people think that
community is a big thing. Yeah,
community, right? I think, I'm going to start an online career. It's going to be so lonely. I mean, there's days Mandy and I are just on Zoom, like working.
I know. My husband's like, you need to get, like, there was a day where I literally didn't leave my house aside from picking up the kids for like 2 weeks. He's like, are you okay? He's like, I feel like you haven't left in a while. Like, have you talked to people? I'm like, talk to people all day long. I'm like, I don't need to talk to people. I don't need to leave my house to feel.
Well, I think that's what
I've talked to somebody.
The pandemic was very timely for us. The start, like I literally started officially. I was doing a little bit in 2019, but I officially launched my VA business. It was like December of 2019 was my official like public launch, and then literally, I don't know, I was home for like 12 weeks, and then my husband's like, hey, I'm just gonna work at home too, and I'm like, not the plan. Not the plan. It's something I don't want here for both of us. The whole idea was like the house was my office. I can, put something in the slow cooker in the morning and go down. This is my place. This is my spot. And so he just really started going back to the office like the last several months. So
really?
Anyway,
oh my God.
So I was like, I'm recording an interview today. You must leave.
Yes.
You must leave. I don't want to hear
you have to get out of the house. He must be so proud of you.
He is. And he's been really supportive. That's another thing at the beginning. And there's another thing I will add if this gets added in at all. I'm not sure. But whatever it is, you can try the VA model. If you come from corporate America, I would just go straight for the OBM level because you'll save yourself a couple $1,000s and some time.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and some shitty clients.
And some really shitty clients that just want to, some people are not nice. And I have a strong Canadian background.
I know. We're very polite as Canadians. We're like, we'll take a lot of shit, but seriously.
Well, my point is, I don't want to miss my point, but my husband was like, what is a VA? I don't understand. What are you doing? Just explain it to them. They will come around even if they don't understand it. If you can just show them like, hey, I'm just doing the same work, but I'm going to do it from home. Dave at first was just like, but I don't understand. But now he does. And now that he's seen, I've literally been making my own money for 4 years. Like when I look at that alone, even when I was making very little money as an OBM, I was like, but all of this is mine. I made this by myself and I got to choose how I made this. So you have to think about that. There's an empowerment that comes along with entrepreneurship. There's tears and happy. There's tears and happy.
Exactly. And sometimes both at the same time.
And sometimes both, like literally I've
been
like
called neuroses. Yes.
I've like boxed Sarah and been like, this thing happened. But also, but like 2 weeks later, everything's fine again. And it's never devastating. It's just hard running a business.
And then that's why community is so important. Having, people to lean on and support each other is really key. So Sarah, we've talked a little bit about this summit, and I know that, again, as I mentioned, I'm sure a lot of people here listening are probably interested in doing summits. We're going to have OBMs that might be keen on this. Yes. Do you have anything to offer our community?
I do. So this is, again, guys, when you give yourself space, you get to create things for yourself. Yes. So we have come up with, it's a little private podcast. It's a really short little 4-part series called Summit Stack to Sold Out. You can get that at Sarah Nicole VM for virtualmanagement.com/Summit Podcast.
Ooh, Summit Podcast, one word.
Summit Podcast, one word. And it'll
Make sure to include that in the show notes as well.
Yes, that would be amazing. So basically what you're going to get from this little freebie, we're going to run you through the 4, like, what the heck is a Summit Stack? Why would you want to do one?
Yeah, why the F would you want to do one? Are you crazy? No.
Why would you want to do one? And then, of course, lastly, like what the outcome can be. And so we have lots of client stories, some that listened to our advice, some that didn't. So we kind of put that all, well, it's that whole, like, I'll just share a little bit. We had this 2 women that were splitting a summit, that were doing a 1-day live summit, and no stack at the end. They didn't want that advice or have the budget. So I just said, okay, well, here's what I think you should do, and blah, blah, blah. But what are you selling into? Like, what is it that you want these people to be? Like, is it a nurture?
If we don't know what we're selling, then how do we know the people that we want to gather?
Even beyond there. So it was called The Art of Creativity. I remember this. And anyway, one of them was a baker and one of them was an artist, and they had zero clue. So they had this fabulous list build. It was great. They ended up getting kind of like a quasi celebrity guy on it.
Oh, wow.
Got this list build. They had no plan of action, so their list build died. So the summit was such a success in that it got some numbers, but then they did nothing.
I remember you telling me about this.
Remember them? So my point is,
I remember that.
It's a lot of work, a summit, but that's why you want to work with somebody that knows what they're doing, can guide and direct you.
Yeah, I'm pointing. I don't know where these videos will be, our pictures.
But if you don't start with the end in mind, you end up with this wonderful list, but what are you going to do with them? People will drop off. They're not going to remember. So you really want to start any kind of launch plan, whether it be via summit or whatever. Like, we've done them all. It's that you need to have a plan, really strategic plan around what is it that you're doing, because it's a waste of time not to.
Thank you so much for being on here. We're going to leave all your information below.
Thank you.
The good summit gal. She is the OBM for you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you inside of our community for some guest expert stuff around summits.
I cannot wait. We're still working on that.
Good.
Okay. Thanks
Sarah.
Bye.
Yay.